Hello and welcome. I'm Jermaine Hall Art. There's going to be some drawing and chill session, listening to some YouTube in the background. Alright, just going to work on this drawing, finish it up. Nothing special, but yeah, let's get into it. Okay. Okay. Hope everyone's doing well.
Bada bing, bada boom.
People back in the day were quite dramatic. There's this old fisherman's diary where it reads like he's suddenly in a Christopher Nolan film. This is from back then. He writes in his little journal that he has just gotten to this island off the coast of Mississippi, and he writes that this island is, quote, dreary, sandy, wild, inhospitable spot. The wood abounds in mosquitoes, sandflies, and every insect that human flesh is food for. It's a tad bit dramatic, especially when you realize he's just writing about Horn Island in Mississippi. He's not writing about some giant hunk of land in the middle of the ocean where those Agatha Christie books take place. This is just Horn Island. It's a remote barrier island about 10 miles off the coast of Mississippi, which a barrier island is essentially a deposit of sand. It runs parallel to the mainland coast. Horn Island is technically part of the Gulf National Seashore. You can really only get to it by boat and probably a little bit of dedication. It's not a treacherous journey, but it's also not necessarily a tourist destination, meaning you're not going to have these ferries or tourist boats heading out to Horn Island scheduled a few times a day so you can seashell and take pictures. They don't necessarily do tours of Horn Island. If you have a whole boat of tourists, eventually someone's going to need to pee, and the entire island is uninhabited. There's no bathrooms, there's no restaurants, businesses, nothing but cacti on an island. However, a lot of locals in Mississippi will ride their personal or they'll charter a boat out there, anchor it near the shore. You can't even dock it. There's no dock. So you have to anchor your boat near the shore, jump off your boat and kind of walk. Swim or walk depending on how big your boat is. You can't dock it. And they'll usually go to get drunk or party on the island. That's what the locals do. The island's dimensions get reconfigured every now and then, but it's a pretty substantial piece of land, okay? As of today, the island is about 10 miles long, and the width of it, the longest point is like a little less than a mile. It's not huge, but it's not small.
Yeah.
There was a point where it was recorded to be much larger. It was about 17 miles long. It's shrinking. The island is shrinking. Also, it's moving. So as the current is wearing down on the eastern side, it deposits sand on the western side. So it's slowly moving. It's like shrinking and moving to the side. It's kind of interesting, but it is now the largest island in the Mississippi-Alabama barrier chain, and it is also protected by the National Park Service, meaning legally you cannot go in there and build a bathroom. You can't bring in motorized equipment or build any sort of infrastructure on the island. Not that any of that will even matter come 2100, because it's said if sea levels continue to rise, the majority of the island is going to be underwater by then. But the interesting thing about Horn Island is a lot of people, the locals, they treat it like a second home. It's been described to have these really white, sandy shores. When you go out there, it's weirdly loud and silent. They describe it as all you hear all day, all night long are like the crashing wave noises, but then nothing else. So it's once you block out the wave noises, there's no other sound. The entire center of the island is filled with thick brush. It's just cacti, which is crazy because it's essentially a functional desert in the middle of the ocean. It's just cacti. And weirdly, there's alligators living on this island, which is alarming because alligators are freshwater predators. What are they doing in the middle of the ocean? But there's ponds, there's marshes in there. You don't really go in there as a local. You either camp, because camping is permitted. You either dock your boat and set up a tent and camp on this shoreline, but you never really go in. It's just kind of, it's a lot. But people treat it like a mini vacation, a second home, a party spot, and people have nothing but positive things and feelings towards Horn Island until July 6th of this year. At the northwestern tip of the island, a body washes ashore, face down in the water. This is the body of an 18-year-old boy, a college football player, Nolan Wells. This is the current ongoing case of Nolan Wells, where 18-year-old Nolan Wells had gone missing while out with his friends on a boat during the 4th of July. 2 days later, His body is found in the water. And every single day since, there have been more questions than there have been answers. Witnesses are reportedly sharing vastly different accounts of what happened on the island with Nolan. His friends that he was with that day have had varied public responses to his passing. Some have shut down their social media. Some have talked to media. Others have been quietly posting their tributes on Instagram. And because there's so many unanswered questions, like, were there things deleted on his phone the day that he went missing? Why didn't he have his phone on him? Why did his friends have his phone? There's so many questions. The internet has taken it upon themselves to come up with their best theories on what they believe happened to Nolan. But is that even helping the case? This case has unfortunately become so divisive, so complicated on all fronts that it feels like it's only getting harder for the family to get the answers that they want. This is the current ongoing case of Nolan Wells, as well as all the internet theories about what happened, to who's lying, and why. We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support Nolan Wells' GoFundMe to help assist his family and loved ones as they navigate his death investigation. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's team of dedicated researchers. We would also like to thank you guys for your continued support. As always, full show notes are available at RottenMangoPodcast.com. As we cover Nolan's death investigation, please know that this case is currently ongoing and developing as we speak. If there are any new updates, we will be sure to leave a pinned comment, but I also want to mention how current this case is, because very little about this case has been confirmed. We're going to be doing our best to separate distinguishable facts from fiction, as well as try and navigate all the netizen discourse. But a few disclaimers for the online discourse. There are lots of discussions from netizens surrounding race and potential race-based violence. These topics can be undeniably heavy, so please take a break if you need to. Additionally, all netizen opinions, speculations, allegations, and theories should not be treated as fact, but rather as potential context for the conversation surrounding the case and surrounding the investigation. Statements and quotes may be condensed for brevity. And also, I do want to make it abundantly clear that not a single person has been implicated in Nolan Wells' death. This is an open investigation. Nobody has been listed a person of interest. Nobody has been listed a suspect. Nobody has, at least to the knowledge of the public, there is no indication that a singular person
Hello,
or
welcome.
multiple specific individuals had
How's it going? It's going
committed any
good. It's going good.
wrongdoing or
Thanks
played
for
a
your likes.
role in his passing. So with that in mind,
You know, it's just
let's get started.
TikTok
The
being
boat ride back home from a
TikTok
party is usually
gave me
having
a
a niche
restriction
feeling. I
already.
mean, it's getting dark.
I literally started
You're almost like
drawing
flying
like
on the
5
water. You
minutes
see the
ago.
docks, you see all the lights.
I
You're
don't
trying to get
understand the
there,
rules.
but it's not like completely dark. So you're just enjoying the ride back. It's much
But
colder.
anyways,
Your
we're
skin
gonna
is
keep
probably
drawing.
burnt from all the sun, so
It's
the cool
gonna,
wind
it's gonna
feels
keep
nice,
restricting my
and it might
videos.
even feel like a sobering
Lies.
feeling. Not saying that
That's okay
someone
though,
has to
it's
be
whatever.
drunk, but I guess if you were, it would also be sobering. People say the boat back from an island party is like a reinvigorating
How's your day going?
feeling. When you go to the island, when you go to the party, you're more excited. Maybe everybody's on their phones. Maybe everyone's playing music and taking pictures. On the way back, everyone's exhausted, and it's the type of boat ride where they say it compels you to have these deep, introspective conversations about life and overly positive feelings about the future. 4th of July, one by one, the boats that were at Horn Island, Mississippi for the 4th of July weekend, they come back ashore to dock. And the island that everybody was on, that just was so crowded, is going to be pitch black. It's going to be dark. And one person is going to be left behind.
That's good. That's good.
Nolan Wells. He's not going to have a way to call for help, even if he could, because his phone and his keys are not with him. They're in his friend's boat, the boat that he came onto Horn Island with, the boat that he did not leave Horn Island on. His phone is on there.
Right,
Yeah. 4th of July weekend in Mississippi, like everywhere else is, well, everywhere else in the United States, is a very big, complicated ordeal. It's a function with one spinning grilled hot dogs and your dog hiding in a blanket while your neighbor decides that their driveway is the perfect place to attempt to replicate the sound of a nuclear bomb, using pretty much every single firework that they could purchase from the next state over because it's illegal in your state.
From Silk Song.
But in Mississippi, Horn
I thought that'd be a
Island
cool
is the
combination
go-to
of
spot for 4th
crossover.
of July weekend. Some estimates
Silk
put
Song
it in
uses
the
like
larger area
Horn
of
uses like
4,000 people on
those
the island throughout
tornado.
the day,
And
Whether
Yor
that
uses
means
like those two
simultaneously or that's just
giant
the
needle,
incoming traffic throughout the
knitting
day.
needle looking
It's
things.
unclear.
Like,
Some
why
people
not
have put it
combine them?
closer to 200-300, but that seems like it's just
So
one
just like
section
a
of the island. I mean,
idea I
this
had.
is still a 10-mile long island.
And other people had the
Which I
same
will say,
idea.
I was kind of confused where everyone uses the
'Cause their
restroom because
outfit is
there's no
like
way
kind of
you're
similar, I guess, a little bit.
getting the anchor out and driving back to shore to use the facilities, but nevertheless, maybe some boats have bathrooms? I don't know.
Probably just in the bushes, no?
Yeah, maybe.
There's
Or
no-
Yeah, we're gonna
in
make
the
this work.
water, I
Yeah.
guess, I don't know. But it's the land of the free, if you will. There's a few circulating videos from Horn
gotta-
Island on
I
4th
gotta
of July.
minimize some of these layers.
And more on that later, but people think just watching the videos, it looks like a very American gathering. You see lots of boats with American flags. They're anchored near the island. There's about like 3-4 rows of boats.
Mm-hmm.
That's how many people are
Oh.
there. So it's not even just one singular line of boats docked or anchored in the water. It's about
They're
3
lined up.
rows. They're lined up behind. So next to each other and then 3 rows. There are people waist deep in water. The people
gonna
with the
delete
boats
this
further back
layer here.
that have to park
So you
Yes.
see people all around, like it's
all
not,
around.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
At Genesis, centered around you means respecting your time by bringing service to your doorstep with complimentary valet pickup and courtesy vehicle service. This is what sets Genesis apart.
People are on the boats. People are next to their boats in the water. There's people in water where it's chin deep. There's people in water where it's waist deep. There's people near the shore. There's people not in the water completely on the island. People are playing
Get rid of
music,
these
swimming.
extra
It seems
layers
like a lot
here.
of the people know each
Merge them
other.
into one.
But this is definitely not some organized private event where everyone knows who's coming. It seems like a lot of big groups of friends were just like, let's go meet up there. And they all happen
Okay,
to
we gotta
be
peel
in
approve.
the
Okay, so that's better.
high school, college, maybe freshly out of college age group. I'm sure there's, I mean, this is not like a census, so I'm not
Okay, we're
entirely
back.
accurate, but that's the
All right,
vibe
so you
it
got the
gives. It's like
appeal
a bunch of
approved.
people from
That
college.
was actually fast.
And then they all kind of know
I'll
someone
give
who
credit
knows
when it's
someone.
due.
So
Thank
that's
you,
how they're all
TikTok,
interlinked.
for all that.
Some people,
Appreciate that. But it makes me want to turn the audio off now. Okay.
run into more friends or friends of friends. Nolan
audio
and
will
his
be on
3 friends
YouTube
get on a
and
boat and they
Twitch.
make it out to Horn Island for 4th of July festivities. They get there pretty early, like 10:30 in the morning. Around 4:30 p.m., the boat that Nolan came to Horn Island on leaves Horn Island with Nolan's phone and keys on board, but not Nolan.
Hmm.
It is not.
4:30 p.m.
That's odd.
Is that early?
It is early and there's a reason.
Okay.
Now, it's not until around 11 p.m. that night, Nolan's mom, Christine, gets a phone call from one of the friends Nolan was with that day that Nolan is missing. Now, according to Christine, Nolan's mom, she's really confused by this. Which understandably,
sharing
she's like,
life.
what do you
Appreciate
mean
that.
he's missing? Like, he had told her what his plans were for 4th of July, and now you're saying he's missing. I mean, it's unclear if Christine received all this information in this order that night, but eventually the explanation she gets is the original boat friend group, the 3 guys Nolan came out on the boat with, they decided that they were going to head back to mainland around 4:30 p.m. So I guess the night is still young, right? Nolan is talking to this girl, Katie, on the island, who he just met. And he decides, this is what they say, right? This is what Christine says they said. He decides that he's just going to stay on the island a bit longer to talk to this girl and maybe come back on a different boat. So their version of events, at least how it's been reported thus far, is that Nolan tells them that he's going to hang back with Katie and catch a ride with another group later. Apparently, they had other friends that were on the island with different boats, so maybe it's safe to say that it's not like Nolan doesn't know a single person on the island and he's going to catch a ride with a stranger. It seems like if this is true, his intention was to catch a ride with someone he knows. According to Christine, Nolan's friends tell her that they don't know where Nolan is anymore, and they also don't know where the girl Katie is. So it's like,
do they know Katie?
not really.
Do they know that person exists?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So they saw her, but then like Christine is kind of confused. She's like, they're both missing. Christine says the friends inform her, well, we don't even know who she is. Christine is, she reports that she's very confused by this because she's kind of like, well, how do you not know where she is if you don't know who she is? None of this is really making sense. Katie is indeed not missing. She will be located, but Nolan will not be. Nolan is missing since 4th of July. Christine starts frantically posting on Facebook for everyone to help. She's
Interesting.
trying to post pictures of Nolan of what he was last seen wearing so people can be on the lookout. Go through their phones, which is a smart suggestion. She posts on Instagram, please continue to look through your photos and videos, specifically starting around 4:30 p.m. We have received pictures around that time showing him walking on the beach. Again, please only private message me if you have information. But the information that keeps coming out is confusing at best and maybe at times even conflicting. Nolan's parents will later retain a very famous attorney who points out that during this chaos, that the 3 original friends from the boat, we're going to call them the 3 boat friends, allegedly stated that Nolan said he wanted to stay back to hang out with this girl, Katie, that he had just met. But Katie allegedly, reportedly states that Nolan was telling her he's going to go back on the boat. And this is all paraphrasing of what attorney Crump, Benjamin Crump, Nolan's family attorney, has pointed out.
They're not saying the same thing. One of them is telling the truth, one of them is not. We have to get to the bottom of that.
Since Nolan's disappearance, they went through and searched the waters between Horn Island, Ship Island, another barrier island. They had to conduct aerial searches south towards the Chandelier Islands. And it's not until July 6th at 8:45 a.m., a park ranger that was searching the island calls the alert in. They find Nolan. He is reportedly found face down near the northwestern tip of Horn Island. When Nolan's body is found, the Jackson County coroner, pretty early on, tells CNN there were no obvious signs of trauma on Nolan's body.
When Nolan's parents heard the sheriff say there's no foul
Thanks for the
play
follow. Appreciate that.
at the beginning of the investigation, that is cause for concern, major concern. You haven't even investigated, but you're saying no foul play.
This has then been interpreted as really there's no immediate signs of foul play that's suspected. So quickly, one of the first narratives to sprout from this case is, well, this must be then a case of accidental drowning if that's what the coroner is saying. You have a body of water, you have a body. It's a natural theory that people are going to consider. However, a lot of netizens take issue with this whole drowning narrative because as of right now, aside from his body being found in a body of water, it has not been publicly determined that he drowned. Furthermore, I will say it is weird for the coroner to come out so soon in the investigation to say something that feels so definitive. And it's, you don't typically have a lot of press and media shoving a mic down the coroner's throat, being like, you gotta tell us. I think out of everyone on the law enforcement front, the coroners get a lot of leeway with media and the public of no one is pressing their finger to the stove demanding they give us everything.
You should completely finish your examination and then.
Yeah, and it's very common that a lot of autopsy results are not
Takes a long time.
released immediately because they do take weeks. Lots of it's forensic testing is it's exhaustive that they want to get everything done and test for all the possibilities. So it's kind of odd that he did come out so quickly to just be like, well, we don't think there's no obvious signs. So people are kind of thrown off by that. Like, why are you so quick to say that? And because I think he was so quick to say that, a lot of people started coming up with, okay, that means he drowned. But there's nothing to support the idea that he drowned. There's no evidence saying that he drowned. I'm not saying definitively he did not, but it's just weird that this is the thing that people initially were. It's just weird. It's weird. So a few things that stand out, not making a lot of sense, is the first being the parents have stated that Nolan is a college athlete. He's a football player. He's very fit. He's athletic, and he's a strong swimmer. They don't think that he could have drowned. I will note, I do think that that's a huge misconception that strong swimmers cannot drown, or it is somehow harder for them to drown. I think if the current decides to take down even someone like Michael Phelps, it will take him down. Even in the calmest waters, people have been strong swimmers and they have still drowned. The ocean does not give really a formula or a reason for how it behaves. However, I think maybe it's the family is trying to say that he is not the type to also go into certain areas of water. I think that would also make more sense. A park ranger that was searching the island called the alert in.
The body was observed on the northwest portion of Horn Island, which is not unusual for someone to drown and be washed up in that area.
Every revolution comes with a little suspicion.
There we go.
Machines will take our jobs.
How are you?
Then people
I'm doing
say
good. Nice to
that
meet you.
machines will make
This is your first
horses
time here?
obsolete.
Welcome.
will take over the world. And now, it's AI will replace humans. Maybe. But we believe nothing can replace humans because we understand that oftentimes all you really want is an answer from a real person who knows what they're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. Papaya Global. You'll never work alone.
Just gonna save our
Every
work
time I
here.
return, I feel like a bird on a long journey who has found a quiet harbor to rest at.
The vast blue sea awaits.
The weather in Astropolis is wonderful, and the moist breeze is filled with the scent of sunshine.
How about going on a vacation? Being too strung up is a dangerous sign.
This time, what style should I attempt? In this moment, you make the summer sky sparkle. Listen to the tremors of freedom in your heart. Let the voice of our hearts converge. The performance is over, but the song shall not cease.
Everyone is a lone gambler sailing forward upon the tides of time. An unwelcome guest. Lovely. If you wish to enter the ever-fluctuating market
Hello,
of
hello,
Astropolis,
welcome.
you'll need the courage to subdue the fiercest waves. Well, between becoming the game's slave and the game's master, I've long since made up my mind.
Alright, let's get this going.
I knew we weren't cut from the same cloth the first time I laid eyes on you.
Free
These ads
yourself
are
from
very
the
long.
shackles.
Then
Sometimes
another
you have to
point of
skip them.
contention, which I personally think holds a bit more weight, is that if Nolan drowned, how did nobody see? Again, if you see videos of this gathering, and that's not to say that this is, it was like this the entire time that Nolan was there, I wouldn't be able to tell you, but it seems like a very populated area. Nobody's really swimming. No one's out here doing laps. Everyone's just kind of hanging out in waist-deep water, holding a beer can in one hand. And they're just chit-chatting. This isn't really the place or time for people to just go off by themselves. The whole point of this is it's a social event. If Nolan did in fact accidentally drown, did he drown by himself? Where was he? Why would he just be out in the water by himself?
Yeah.
Or are we to believe that maybe groups of people are so drunk and so distracted that a current swept only Nolan away and nobody saw, but he was standing right there talking to them? Like, it's just, I'm trying to fathom, like, what scenario would he be taken by the current and nobody would see because it's a social event? It's just weird. But more than that, people also feel it's odd that the authorities were so quick to kind of lean towards this narrative that it's an accidental drowning when it seems like they can't confidently or won't confidently tell the public what they believe happened to Nolan. So if you don't really know what happened to him, why are you so quick to rule out foul play or to even insinuate you're ruling out foul play? Why are you so quick to publicly say something that shifts the narrative to that this is a case of accidental drowning when you don't even really know what happened? But to a lot of people, this case does not feel like a clean-cut, tragic, accidental drowning case. A lot of people think it's weird that his friends would just leave him on the island, even if he told them that he would catch a ride later. More people feel it's strange that Nolan didn't want his phone when he's going to be left on the island without a guaranteed ride back.
Yeah.
Again, it is an uninhabited island, but there is, like, spots of cell service that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, it's 2026. Everyone has their phone. Even if there's no cell service, I feel safer with my phone on me.
Yeah, that's weird.
The family and the family's attorney are alleging that witness statements aren't adding up, and there's, of course, this undercurrent of justified anxiety and doubt that's forming in a lot of netizens because Nolan was the only black friend on a boat with 3 white friends. He is, for whatever reason, left on this island, whether it was by his choice, his agreement. A lot of people still feel he was left. Nobody went to check up on him. Like, nobody made a confirmation that he was getting another ride. And those feelings are only getting stronger when it feels like the police are very, it almost feels like they're trying to quickly wrap this case up, which is just a feeling that a lot of people have initially received. I will say the local authorities have been vocal about how seriously they're taking this and how they plan on being diligent and taking as long as they need to figure out what happened to Nolan. But those types of statements come a little bit after the social media intensity.
We're working towards the same goal as the family. We want a thorough investigation, and that's what we're going to continue to do until we arrive at the answers that the family deserves.
In the beginning, there is, and still now, a lot of growing public mistrust It seems like the investigators don't have much information that makes sense. Nothing is really clear, at least to just people on the internet like us. I would imagine that maybe the police are privy to a lot more information than us, but the timeline is confusing. Some say he was last seen at 3 p.m. Others were saying, well, no, I saw him at 4 p.m. It just seems messy, and it seems like there's not really a sense of urgency with the investigators, at least initially with this case. The family attorney, Attorney Crump, expresses frustration, probably at the direction of the investigation. He says in an interview about this case,
You know, we don't know the
Thanks,
level
Alex.
of
Appreciate that.
cooperation the friends are engaging in because they all have retained attorneys. But what Nolan's family and friends feel like, had the roles been reversed and that these had been 3 young black men and there was only 1 young white man and he ended up dead, that the investigation would be much more zealous. There would be interrogations. They would be separated. They would be held for all kinds of crimes and misdemeanors until somebody started to talk, that they would challenge the narrative that has been presented. They all came back alive, and Nolan was washed up on the shore unalive.
just because Nolan's 3 friends were white and Nolan was black, that's not an implication of guilt. That's not an implication of any wrongdoing at all. But I do think that a lot of people agree with the sentiment. It's not even really about his friends, but it's more so, yeah, if the roles were reversed, we probably would have a much more passionate, feverish, aggressive investigation into the 3 friends on the boat, which again, that's not me saying that they are guilty of anything. And the fact that this is happening in a southern state like Mississippi, it has piqued a lot of people's anxiety and suspicion that it likely stems from societal patterns, the history of racism in this country, as well as personal experiences and some other cases online. A lot of comparisons have been made with Nolan Wells's case and Tamla Horsford's case. If you guys remember, that was another Southern case that took place in Cumming, Georgia. She was the only black woman at a slumber party of football moms. And the case was notable because all the other individuals there were white, and it was a slumber party. They were playing Cards Against Humanity, drinking, having a good time. And the next morning at 7:30 a.m., Tamla was found lying face down, motionless under the porch.
Yeah,
it was a 14-foot fall.
Yeah.
Witnesses state she got up at 2 a.m. to smoke a cigarette on the back porch. The case was officially closed and ruled an accidental death, but a lot of people online disagree with this finding. They think it's weird. She has all these blunt force injuries. Sure, they're saying it's from the 14-foot fall, but she also has these scratches and cuts on her face, wrist, hand, lower legs. It just doesn't really add up. Now, I'm not saying that any individual at that party or that night is guilty of anything. Legally, they're not. I'm just saying the investigation leaves a lot to be desired. The Forsyth County Sheriff's Office states, it was a party. They were drinking. She was drinking. Most of the partygoers had gone to bed at that time. She was on the deck alone.
So odd.
North America's largest Rib Fest is back. The Summer 2026 tour is on and it's better than ever. Get ready for mouthwatering, finger-licking, belly-rubbing, good barbecue. Feast on world-class barbecue, legendary festival eats, and cool down at our massive beer market. Plus, live music. Find your city and grab your bibs at northernheatribseries.ca. Northern Heat. Heat the North. Event offerings vary by location. Check your local event page for details.
Hardly seems like a satisfying answer to the case. There have also been comparisons drawn with Nolan Wells's case and Alec Murdaugh's case, where a boat crashed in South Carolina, killing 19-year-old Mallory Beach. The boat was owned by Alec Murdaugh. He wasn't on the boat, but his son Paul Murdaugh was on the boat. The same Paul that would be found dead with Alec Murdaugh's wife, Paul's mom, shot dead outside their house, which Alec Murdaugh was found guilty of. However, that conviction was overturned, and prosecutors are going to retry the case April of next year. So there's that. The online comparison of the 2 cases only gets stronger when one of the alleged boys on the boat, one of the 3 white friends that Nolan was with that day, when one of their mothers speaks out on Facebook, and she happens to be a judge. in the same district of
Ah.
the investigation. Judge Ashley Cole has taken to Facebook the day after Nolan's body is found, and she writes, "Our family, along with the community, grieves the loss of Nolan Wells. Our
Yeah,
thoughts and
something's
prayers are with
fishy
Nolan's
there.
family. Our son, Warren, loved Nolan dearly. Unfortunately, I feel that it is appropriate for our family to dispel some rumors with facts based upon the social media attention that is being diverted away from the Wells family and their loss. Yes, I deactivated my Facebook. Given the very heightened emotional state of social media right now, I fear for the safety of my child and my children. My husband and I have 6 children, and we covet their privacy. We do not believe it is appropriate for our minor children's photographs to be circulated throughout the internet, presenting potential threats to their safety. I graduated high school with Christine Wells Wansley," so Nolan's mom. "We are from the same community. I have the utmost respect for her and all the Wells family. We mourn the loss of Nolan with them. Our prayers have been and will continue to be with them. My husband and I were not at Horn Island at any point on 4th of July. No one in our family is trying in any way to impede with the investigation by law enforcement or to otherwise hamper the family and law enforcement's quest for answers. Warren was interviewed by the Jackson County Sheriff's Department and cooperated fully. He saw Nolan last at around 3 p.m. on July 4th. They went around 4:30 p.m. when the boat was taking on water and they had an issue with the bilge pump. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island and return inland later with another group of friends. Yes, I am a judge. I also value transparency. I apologize if anyone was offended that I deleted my social media. There were no nefarious motivations in my deleting my social media. Social media has a lot of positives, but a whole lot of negatives. We live in a world of clickbaiting. Sad, but true. My family is hopeful that this information will help redirect the attention to the Wells family, their grief, and their need for our community's support." Everyone seems to take her Facebook post and use it to bolster the theory that they believe the most. Some have taken it to the extreme. Judge Ashley Cole has posted screenshots of some of the graphic death threats she and her family have been receiving. She writes on Facebook that she will not be speaking to press or media. She writes, "We have not had the opportunity to speak with the Wells Wansley family or their attorney. However, we are willing to directly communicate with attorney Benjamin Crump and the Wells Wansley family. We will provide them with all the information known to us so their family can rest and properly mourn. We also want to know what happened to Nolan. We will do everything within our power to assist Nolan's family in their quest for answers." Interestingly, more recently, the only other post that she had was July 21st. She posts on Facebook, "Right is right, wrong is wrong."
Period.
Yeah. My stance on this entire case is that Nolan Wells' family deserves answers, and they deserve to live in a world where they can fully trust their local law enforcement agencies to help them get those answers as quickly as possible. And again, that's not to say that the law enforcement agencies in this case are not doing their jobs, but we live in a society where there's already so much distrust placed there, especially for Black individuals and families. And Nolan's parents, they just want answers. And the way that this investigation first kicks off, I will say I don't think that they would have done the same thing if the roles were reversed. And I grew up in the South. If there was a case in my hometown where it was a white 18-year-old college football player ends up dead after he hung out with a bunch of his Black friends, that my hometown would have been turned upside down. They would be going door to door. Everyone's getting arrested. So I think it's weird. I think it's weird, and I think it's completely understandable that Nolan's parents feel like something is off about it, and they don't necessarily have the full hope and trust that the investigators are going to get them the
Want the
answers
full
they desperately
picture.
need. They have stated multiple times that they feel like so many things are not adding up. Nolan's parents have come out to state that he would never not go on the boat when his friends are leaving. Like, he was always taught that if you go somewhere with 5 people, you come back with 5 people. I mean, in this case, it's 4, but you get what they're saying. Nolan's dad reiterates, he always taught Nolan, do not separate from the group. I always told him, safety is in numbers. So he knew to stay with his group. Why would he split from the group? I don't know. It just, one thing to note, though, is that some have argued he's not just staying behind in a random location downtown where he doesn't know anybody else. Technically, there are other friends on the island, friends of Nolan's. So I'm not sure if maybe that was a different situation where Nolan felt like maybe I could go back with a different friend. Maybe that's why he could have felt comfortable staying on the island to talk and hang out with other people, but I don't know if that's the case. This case is also just incredibly tricky. I do find myself comparing it frequently to the Tamla Horsford case and feeling a lot of emotions based off of my own personal lived experiences. While I do think asking questions and putting pressure on the investigators is perfectly warranted, if not welcomed, I do think that the majority of netizens feel that sentiment. They're just frustrated with the investigation. They're frustrated with the investigators. They think it's weird. They think it's confusing. It just isn't sitting right with people. Had the investigators gone in full force, locked down everyone's statements, grilled everybody that was there that day, and they came forward to the public and said, hey, we've got everyone's alibis. We're talking to everyone. This is the timeline of events, and we've confirmed the timeline of events. I don't think so many people would be turning their heads. A lot of the times investigators are trying to come forward and give like a very concise timeline, and they also do that for people to give more tips. They're like, here's the timeline. Here's the time we think that he was last seen, specifically here by these people last saw him. He was doing this, like, please call us. I mean, they have been asking for tips, but it just, they haven't done something where it feels, it's a lot of like media doing the work. It's a lot of media getting people's statements and then coming up with their own timelines based off this person said this at 3 p.m. and then this person tracking boats, tracking people's movements. But it's not like the investigation is like, oh, let me tell you guys everything we've done and we've cleared all these people through their alibis and this and like cell phone tower data. Like it's just This episode is brought to you by Netflix. November 13th, 2022, at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, a cop is responding to a 911 call. His body cam flicks on. It begins recording. He's getting out of his cruiser, entering this house, climbing the stairs to the main floor, and we hear his boots crunching with each step. The crackle of his radio is going off.
Upstairs.
And the original 911 caller is standing in the main floor landing, just frozen. Opposite from him is an open bedroom door to the scene that he had originally called 911 for. And we see the body cam as the officer reaches the top step of the landing. He turns the corner to face the rest of the room, and the entire screen goes black. This is not like a fade. This is not an editing trick. It's a full redaction of the body cam footage. The audio keeps recording, but the footstep of the officer pauses, and he just says, "K." Because 4 young college students, Ethan, Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee, were ambushed in the middle of the night in 2022 in Moscow, Idaho. This opening scene of the documentary series sets the tone for the rest of the episodes. It takes you out of the headlines. It takes you out of the news media that you might have seen about this case, and you just step into the timeline as the
It's a
scene
combination
unfolds,
of your
and it's narrated and retold by the loved ones who lived it. We
Spy
hear
X
from some of
family
the victims'
and
families,
Hornet. So yes,
unprecedented access to the people
because I thought they had
closest to the
similar
victims,
weapons. I was like,
and
hey,
we learn who they were
why not
before the
combine them?
murders.
So you are correct.
We see Snapchat memories, photos, videos, things
Yeah,
that
it's
the
my
public has
rendition
never
of
seen
that.
before.
I thought it'd be
There's
cool.
footage from inside
And other
the
people
police
had the same
station that
idea,
day,
so I wasn't the
footage
only
of
one.
the victims and parts
I
of
was
the
like,
case
hey,
I hadn't ever seen before.
Silk Song,
Parts
Hornet
that were
Silk Song has a
unraveled
needle
in the
thing.
exact same way
Yours
that
has like those
investigators uncovered it.
gold stabby
Ring
things. Like,
footage,
why not
the
combine
silhouette
them?
of a man a month prior, the
That reminds me,
break-in
I
a
should
week
make her
before the murders,
sword needles
DNA.
gold.
Another thing that I really appreciated about this series is they didn't entertain the insensitive theories and shut down any suspicion on the remaining 2 survivors of this case, the 2 roommates. As the cops discover the true killer responsible for the quadruple homicides, we learn his history, his background, we see his yearbook
feel free to
photos,
follow to
we
see the
hear from a
finished artwork.
classmate who met
Thanks for
him
the follow, appreciate that.
in her mind of a serial killer class. That's where they met. We hear about a potential motive for his crime. One word that to me feels like it just makes sense is incel. A killer who doesn't deserve to be named. We learn of the divisive plea deal the killer takes. We see the courtroom footage of the loved ones' impact statements. And really, I think the father of one of the victims, Kaylee, says something during the sentencing that I think rings true for everything about this case and this documentary, which is, quote, "The world is watching because of the kids, not because of you." Their names are Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xana Kernodle, and Madison Mogan. Watch Idaho Murders College Nightmare, now playing only on Netflix.
I gotta watch that. So sad.
And as of recently,
Oh, thanks for
one
the
of
likes.
the
Appreciate that,
boat
guys.
friends has come out to do an interview with a YouTuber by the name of Officer Tatum. Warren shares his experiences with what it was like being
I was gonna
Lauren's
save
friend,
here real
and he says
quick.
that they would go to Waffle House once a week together to eat.
We're
They've known each
almost
other
done,
since
actually.
high school.
And we're
And
working
now
a
they're, it
drawing
seems
I
like
did
they're at different
before.
colleges and they still hang out when they
Making
come
a
home on
new
the
one.
weekends. Warren states that going to Horn Island together for the 4th of July is super common. He says, quote, "We went last year."
You know, we went last year. Nolan was on the boat with me last year. And I mean, this was a common thing.
This is one of the three friends.
4th of July, you know, everyone was out there. Like I said, Nolan was always trying to go out on the boat, trying to go out there with us, and he was always welcome to come. He explains that the boat trip was not just, 4 guys on a boat. He describes it as, we had roughly 20, 30 people coming with us. So we were on 3 separate boats. He describes it as they all met up, and the plan was all 20 to 30 of them were going to get on 3 separate boats and go to the island. So it's not just 4 people on a boat that's like, let's go to the island and see who else is there. He says we were all following each other out there as one big group. It wasn't just me, Nolan, and a couple of my other buddies. There was 20 to 30 people spread out where we all met at the dock before, and then we departed to go to Horn Island. Horn Island on the 4th of July is the most popular day to be on the water throughout the entire Gulf Coast. I mean, everybody and their mom is on the water on the 4th of July. There's no telling. I mean, roughly probably 2, 3, maybe even 4,000 people out there. There were boats lined up on the island. There were 3 rows of boats all the way until my vision ended. We were parked on the north side of the west tip. It wasn't just there though. I mean, there were tons of people packed on the south side, on the east side, in the middle of the island. He says they got to the island 10:30 a.m. We pulled up 10:30. I mean, it was an early afternoon, but 10:30 is still pretty early in the day. And when we got there was already 3 rows of boats lined up all the way, like I said, until I could see. He says there's people on boats grabbing drinks and food, whatever else. I mean, everybody's fully prepared for the 4th of July. They bring all the drinks and food they need because they've been preparing for the 4th of July for a little while now. But when we got there, I helped my buddies tie the boats up because the line was right here. The Palm Beach was, in the middle, and then the Chitrin, so he's talking about the other boats, was on the other side. There was about a drop off from where the bow was. I mean, he seems like he fishes a lot, so he knows a lot about boats. Like, he's really into boats. He was like, if you jumped off the bow, you were probably about neck deep in water. But if you jumped off the stern, you were probably waist deep in water.
If you jumped off the bow, you were probably about neck deep in water. But if you got off the stern, you were probably waist deep in water.
So, like, the boat is anchored where there's a drop.
I see.
Right, but, when we got there, we tied up, got bow and rear anchor set, and we tied up all the boats, made sure that we were good, and everybody just got in the water. He says that Nolan was drinking, everybody was drinking. It seems like a lot of them are not 21 yet. And I mean, Nolan seemed completely fine every time I talked to him. We just had regular conversations, and Nolan was making me laugh. I had a couple conversations with Nolan and my buddy, James. I could tell you, I mean, I talked to Nolan a couple times, but it wasn't like I was strictly sitting there talking to Nolan the whole day. I mean, there were like hundreds of people I knew out there. He says about leaving Nolan, he says, so Wyatt, which I guess is another friend, was having boat issues, and the bilge wouldn't pump. So the bilge is basically a pump that releases water from your boat when water comes in. So I opened the back hatch and there's water up to the batteries, and that is obviously not good. There's water almost coming over, which is where your motor sits, which is, is by the stern in the back of the boat. So obviously we were in emergency. We're trying to save the boat. It's not like we didn't ask Nolan or we just left Nolan. Nolan decided to stay on the island with the girl that he was with, and the girl is a witness to that too. He says that they were yelling at him to get on the boat, but Nolan said that he wanted to stay. Katie apparently texted a friend of theirs later in the chaos, and she said that the last time she saw Nolan was when someone was yelling at him to get on the boat.
Meaning what? He got on the boat? Or
it seems like he didn't.
Oh.
But then other reports were saying that Katie said he got on the boat. We don't have Katie's statements. And I think that's another thing that the investigators are kind of dropping the ball on.
So that statement you just said, where is that from?
What up, guys? Max Blesshaller here in Las Vegas. I'm here at Box. We're going to be ripping some packs. I've been collecting cards for a minute now. I collect cards when I was little. I lost them all, but my friend got me back into it with a Lugia that he liked, and I ended up buying it. My girl card that I never had, that I actually had the opportunity to see, was the first edition Charizard, brother. That's the girl card. You see how much that thing going for now?
Yes. Now we're gonna do it the new digital way on Box.
I'm excited. This looks cool. I really didn't have anything like what Box is doing, where you pick packs and you get the card.
That's from Warren. Warren is saying, like, we have proof that, like, Katie, we were yelling at him get on the boat, but he didn't want to get on the boat.
And then Katie told a friend that was the last time she saw him too.
Yeah. So maybe
both parties say that they saw him last at yelling at him to get on the boat.
It seems like it. But again, we can't be sure.
Right. Okay.
Because, I mean, we didn't talk to these people. But also another thing is interesting is I think that would clear up a lot of the theories and rumors online if the investigators just straight up said, hey, so we talked to the girl that he was talking to, and she said he did or did not get on the boat. That's like a huge point of contention. Because if he got on that boat, the 3 boat friends have a lot of explaining to do. If he didn't get on the boat, then maybe a lot of other people on the island could potentially have a lot of explaining to do, or this really is a case of accidental drowning. I mean, it just gets us closer, but because we don't even have a clear answer if he got on the boat or didn't get on the boat, it's like, well, now we feel like everyone's saying different things. Did he get on the boat or did he not get on the boat? Like, it's not that hard. Did he get on the boat or not? Just give us the answer to that. Why is that so difficult? I don't understand. He's saying that night they're all hanging out. So they get back at 4:30, and then I guess some other guys come back, and they're all hanging out. And Warren says they start talking about Nolan, and they're like,
Wait, so you're saying they left at 4:30 because of the boat was breaking down?
Yeah, they do send out a distress call too, where they're like, the boat is sinking. But then eventually they don't really need a tow. I guess the boat fixed somehow, or it got better, but...
Okay, so they drove it back to the other side, and they're hanging out over there now.
Yeah.
Okay.
As we're editing this, there's just been a bunch of updates, and I just want to fill you guys in because I think the full context is super important here for the sake of full transparency of when these episodes are filmed, when the audio podcast goes live, when the video podcast goes live. This audio podcast on the podcast feeds is probably going to go live in like a few hours, like the minute that we're done editing this. However, the video takes a little bit longer, so that's going to be like another 2 days for the video to go live. If there's any updates from when the audio is posted to when the video is posted, we're going to leave that in the pinned comments on YouTube. Just keep a reminder of that. There's been a lot of updates. It felt like for a long time there were no updates, and then all of a sudden they start rolling out, and there's just a lot of discourse we need to cover. So let's get into the distress call. Originally, when we were talking about the distress call, it just came out as, hey, there was a problem with the boat. Judge Ashley Cole even mentioned it in her Facebook post later. There seems to be something with like the bilge pump, the boat's taking in water. Warren does a whole podcast episode on Officer Tatum's YouTube channel about it. And there was clearly some sort of story with the boat being in distress. Like at that point, there were conversations that there was a phone call made to possibly get towed. It was confusing whether or not the boat was actually towed or not.
Who's that? It's a combination of your
Forger phone call
and
of
Hornet
the
from
boat
Silk Song.
calling in a distress call.
I thought they had similar weapons. So I was like,
or at
let's
least
combine them.
what I think is the full phone call. So I'm just going to try to be as up to date in the reporting and all of this. We're going to go in full depth onto the phone call and what people think they hear from the phone
Who's
call.
putting color in it?
It was released
I'm
by
gonna color it right now,
WLX
actually.
News. This is a local Mississippi.
I have
West
some
Coast
colors
news
on there right
station,
now.
and the
I'm just reworking
published
some stuff,
audio recording of the phone
like the
call
shadow
was
and
made to
detail.
the Seto Dispatch.
It's like
on
two
July
drawings.
4th.
So
It's
there's one which is
made
Hornet.
presumably by the
It's like
teenagers
Hornet
on the
taking
boat
her
that
mask
had
off,
originally
which
brought
reveals
Nolan to Horn Island
yours
earlier
face.
that day, but then left.
So
they
yeah, I'll
say
show you the color on there,
preemptively
but it still
because
has
the
a
boat was taking on water
color from
because
like
of the
Hornet.
bilge pump. Before
Still
we
gotta
go over the
change some
contents
things
of the
around.
phone call, I
There's
do
actually
wanna be
two
clear about
drawings,
the
like
legitimacy
with
of
the
this call,
helmet
because
on or the
even that has
mask, if you
been
want to
called
call
into
it.
question.
It's
WLOX News
it's
did
Hornet.
report that
When
they
she
got the
takes it off,
recording from the
it
Mississippi
shows
Department of Marine Resources.
WLOX.
Silk.
It's like a
I mean,
local news
Hornet.
station.
Okay.
So this
I'll
is
show
like
you real quick.
I don't know if I would go as far to call them like legacy media, but it's a
So
huge
this
news
is like
station,
the
right?
color on
And so
there.
they said that they got it from the Mississippi
As you can
Department
see,
of
right?
Marine Resources. Now, had someone like TMZ said that they
Like,
got
it
it
was Hornet
from
before, now it's not
FDMR,
Hornet.
I don't know. Maybe some people would be more
Yeah,
or less
I'm
inclined
just
to
fixing
believe
that,
it.
but I'm just
But
fixing
with
like the
WLOX,
sword
I
and
will
the shadow
say
stuff.
I
We'll go
am
back and
inclined to trust
change that
that
around.
the MDMR did.
It's like the
People
highlights.
were more inclined to believe if TMZ posted it.
Oh yeah,
would
you
be
want to see
more
more? Feel free
inclined
to
to question the
feel free to
authenticity
follow
of where
the
they
finished artwork. I do
got
post the finished
it,
stuff
right?
online.
But I mean, WLOX, if they were just flat out lying about this, the journalistic
Yo,
consequences would
can we
be
get
pretty
a
grave.
high angle real quick?
However, I will just know
How's that gonna work? It's a
MDMR
drawing.
has not officially come out
This is
and
a
said
flat
that they did
surface.
release this phone call.
So this news station said they got it from this marine
Yes.
people in that, but okay, so it's
This is not a
directly
3D
reported
model, it's
from this
a
news station.
drawing.
Yes, but there's just a lot of
Hear me out. That's crazy.
some people are calling into question the authenticity.
Alright.
Some people are, it gets more and
We
more
were doing the
complicated as we go
sword.
on. But this is just like
I wonder
the
if there's a way I
first
can just
layer.
duplicate this,
Now,
save
as far
myself
as
a lot
we
of
know,
work.
this is an
and
8-minute,
flip it.
50-second audio recording. And just to give any clarifications,
I
just
wanna
in case,
reverse
I think
this.
this definitely is a case where
Is there
it
an
is
option to reverse
panic-inducing.
this? Flip
So
it.
I think, a lot of
This
things this, we
flip
just
one
get a
layer.
little bit more emotionally riled up with this case. There are going to be moments of just pure silence in this original, or like as original as we're going to get audio, and that is for the purpose of
did a
redactions to
copy.
protect private numbers like phone
I think
numbers.
that's the right
So I
one to
didn't
do.
see any
File
redacted
new
moments of
tab,
silence
clipboard.
where they shouldn't be. So far from the context, it seems that
Did
they
it
all line up with
custom?
phone numbers. Now, another thing we can confirm about this call is
Yeah.
there are no reports from investigators
Let's see this.
identifying which teen
Let me
exactly
paste.
was the caller. The internet has
Can I
their
copy a whole
suspicions that the
group?
caller may be a teen named Wyatt, because it seems he's the one,
I have to copy
context
it
clues,
individually.
deduction. He seems to be the one that owns the
I hope
boat,
it
or his
keeps all the
family owns the
information the
boat.
same.
But it has technically been unconfirmed as of right
Copy.
now. So why is this distress
What
call
happens
notable?
here?
Well, first, the call was kind of just general confirmation that the teens who
Yeah,
were
we
with
can
Nolan
do
that
that,
night
but we're
did
gonna
seem to
flip
have
it.
boat issues, at least according to the
Image,
call. There's suspicions
flip it.
whether or not
That'll be
that is
horizontal.
real, though.
If the problem is real or
No,
not.
vertical.
Yeah. Now, there is no official time of when the call was made that has been released to the
Yeah,
public.
vertical, right?
But in short, some
Yeah, that's what
teenager
we do.
on the boat called Seato
Now we're gonna
Dispatch.
copy
They
all that
report the
again.
situation. They say that the boat is
If I
kicking
did this
on water.
correctly.
They say that there's about 7 people aboard, and the whole 7 people on board is, it is weird. Like the
You can
whole
make a
phone
new
conversation about
folder.
it is kind of strange.
And
They provide their coordinates, or their
paste in
alleged
place.
coordinates, as some netizens say. And
Nope, we did
ultimately,
not do it
once the
right.
teens
We
hang up,
failed.
the dispatcher calls her captain. Okay, so the
I only
dispatcher
did
is
one.
probably on land somewhere, and she's taking these
Hold
calls.
on.
Her name is Vicky, and she's taking calls from a bunch of people, and then she has to call
Can
the
you
captain.
add gloves
and if
to
the
her
captain
design?
needs to tow someone, it's the captain that goes
Gloves?
Oh,
Okay.
I see.
I feel like
And
she
that
is
is
wearing
recorded
like
as
her
well.
whole
So Vicky
outfit
calls her
is like all
captain,
black.
who is just
It
like her
kinda
boss,
is like
right? And
gloves.
she reports this distress call, and the captain is recorded
That's
telling
bull
Vicky, the
how art
dispatcher,
works.
"Well, I just got off the
Or what
phone
the-
with the
sorry?
grandfather of the teenager that called you."
At the same
That's
time.
how
We
art
don't know
works.
how much time has passed, but I would imagine that Vicky
Not
called him
be-
immediately.
Yeah, it's
right?
urgent.
So I'm not sure if I
Yeah.
understand that.
And he says the grandfather said they have the situation under control and did not need towing. So that's, ultimately, as we know, Seato confirmed that they never towed the boat.
So the grandfather wasn't at the island.
No.
And so the kids call the grandfather too.
Yes. But that's
So
okay.
how is that
I
in
will
the
say
time frame that the boat got fixed?
That's what, okay. That I also think is weird, because I mean, I've listened to this audio so many times. I couldn't really put together someone else in the background having a phone
Why did you copy
conversation
that
with the
one part?
grandfather.
Why didn't you copy the whole thing?
The caller that called the Seato dispatch didn't appear to be having a conversation on a separate phone line. Or
Yeah.
maybe he was texting. I really don't know. I don't know. Or maybe somebody else was and we just can't hear it.
Okay.
So it's unclear. Now, the enhanced versions of the audio have started catching fire online. Some netizens are wondering, why, if the teens call the Seato,
Why don't we
why
just flip
hasn't
this
the
one
audio
part
from the
here?
phone call between the captain and the grandfather been released?
Mhm.
Now, this is where it gets interesting, because people are like, well, it wouldn't be released if it were a private phone conversation. So when you
Let's
call
do the whole
dispatch
drawing.
and
Can I
when
just select
dispatch
one
is calling your
area?
captain and all of these things, these are automatically recorded. But
Uh,
let's say I, a regular
there has to be a
civilian,
way
am
to
calling
flip
another
one
civilian who
part
happens to be a
only.
captain on the job
So
on
the
this
whole
private
thing.
phone number. It's not going to be recorded automatically, meaning maybe they had a conversation on personal cell phones and not through the dispatch lines, which then brings up questions for netizens of how connected
Okay.
are the families
We're
of the
gonna flip.
teens
How
who
about
were
this? We're
with
gonna flip
Nolan
it.
on Horn Island.
So,
Now, merely
edit,
being well
redo.
connected does not have any sort of implication of guilt. I will say that. But obviously, for a case like this, it's a huge question that netizens want answered. They want it answered in the sense of, did that connection play a role in any sort of investigation into this case? Again, not saying that somebody is guilty just because they're well
Clipboard,
connected,
yes.
but they just want to know. People want to know. People want answers. That's it. They
Edit,
just want
paste.
answers for Nolan's family, and Nolan's family desperately want answers for their process of grieving and for the memory of their son as well. I will say, on the flip side, this could be explained by a simple explanation of all members with Seato have a private line to the captain. Because I know there's lots of memberships where you do get private lines, or even with some people are bringing up concierge doctors. You get a private line to the doctor. You don't go through the weight room and the receptionist desk. But again, I guess that would also point to, are they super well connected, which again is not an indication of guilt, but people are just wondering.
I just don't understand how the boat was sinking
And then not sinking?
and then it was good.
They said
Okay, we
that they
got it.
did
Yes, that's what we
eventually
want to
get
do.
towed by a third party for a
But
short
why is it
period.
only one layer? I want
Apparently,
all of it. So give me do one by one. I want to copy all the layers. Okay, let's try this one. Copy. Edit.
they were saying like if you're getting towed on the water, water starts coming out of the boat. Whether it's the moving at a certain speed, it forces water out of the boat. But it seems
Here's
like
the
they were
line.
standing
I don't know
kind
how
of
to do
still
this.
and the boat was taking on water. A nearby boat came, helped tow them a little bit.
How do we know this?
It's in the report later. Yeah, so like that's what they're saying. But then again, with even things like the report, people are saying, well, it's he said, she said. I guess everyone is, there's a lot of skepticism of every aspect of this case. The skepticism is made even more clear when netizens start to isolate and enhance the audio to see if they can decipher the background shouting happening on the caller's side. And what they believe they have deciphered is some netizens believe in the background you can hear the teens shouting, and people believe they hear things that implicate the teenagers. Obviously, as of right now, this is unconfirmed, and unconfirmed just means unconfirmed by authorities, right? And unconfirmed by the parties on the boat. It doesn't really mean anything other than that.
Do
These are
something real quick.
unconfirmed. These are just netizen speculations. We will go over the enhanced audio and evaluate the legitimacy, but I do want to share, I think if you have not listened to this audio, it would be incredibly valuable to listen without any sort of context. You don't even have to listen to the enhanced version of the audio to isolate the background of this call. You can do it yourself.
This is not working.
So that was a huge point of contention. People have been coming out and saying, look, I've isolated the voices, I've taken away the background music, I've done these, I've tried to enhance the audio. Some people are saying, well, if you used AI, of course it could alter things, and AI likes to hallucinate. You can do this by yourself. No AI, no isolation tools, no Final Cut Pro, no editing software. If you go to the audio as is, posted by WLOX News, which I'm going to link in our show notes, they have left it as a dual channel, like 2 channels. So you just need a pair of earbuds. If you have your left earbud in, you can hear the dispatch in the background music. If you have your right earbud in, you just hear the callers. So you just hear the teenagers on the boat.
Okay.
Obviously, if you have both, you hear the full conversation. But if you just keep one earbud in, it's basically isolated. Now, it's not enhanced where you cut away the background noises of like the water and stuff, but I don't necessarily know if you need that because people are hearing things without isolating anything. And again, before I tell you what people think they are hearing, I think you should listen for yourself because there is a lot of conditioning that can happen. And I've dealt with this when we go through like body cam footage, and this is a huge point of conversation online. When you go through body cam footage and you have a transcript you're matching it to, your ears are gonna kind of try to make those connect. Even if those are not the words being said. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying this is something that happens to humans. Like we like to visually fill in the blanks. We like to audibly fill in the blanks. So right now, if you have not heard anything about this, listen and see what you hear. And for the audio podcast listeners, I'm just going to go through the conversation that's actively taking place between dispatch and the teenager. So this is not me saying, oh, and then in the background you can hear this. In the background you can hear this, because I don't want to make that call for you. But I'm going to go through what people think they can hear after I go through the initial conversation between the teenager and the dispatch. And if you're watching the video version of this, you can kind of see and try to figure out if you hear anything in the background before I tell you what people hear in the background, or what a lot of people hear in the background. So I'm just going to go through what's actually being said between the two parties, because even that conversation is kind of weird. So dispatch CTO picks up and she's like, Vicky speaking, how can I help you? This teenage boy is on the other line and he's like, we're at the west tip of Horn and our village pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you please come? We have a membership. Yeah, all right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our village pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles. Hello?
Now, I don't know if the teens are like frantically doing something in the background or if the cell service is not good, but they're not really paying attention to the phone call because he's like, "What'd you say?" "Yeah, hey, yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?" "It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. We're going down there." "All right, well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir?" "I don't know the
Sword
phone number.
Holiday.
It's either redacted. I think it's redacted. Try that." "All right. I know we have a membership guaranteed. I don't have the tag on me." "All right. You have a membership number or anything?" It's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?" "Redacted." "All right. And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?" Yeah, everybody's... "Oh, good. All right. Do you need the United States Coast Guard?" "What? Do you need the United States Coast Guard?" "No, we don't need that."
All right. Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
No, we do not need that.
Later on, one of the kids that was with Nolan that day on the island, and again, just me pointing out things that I personally think are weird, are not me pointing the finger and insinuating guilt. It's just I myself in that situation would not behave in that way, is all I'm saying. So he, for example, says that night when he realizes nobody brought Nolan back on any of their boats, it's dark outside. He said that he immediately called the Coast Guard just because he'd rather be safe than sorry. Now, I think this is a different individual than who is on the phone right now, but he did say that he was on the boat back when the village pump was not working. So Warren was on the boat back, but I don't know if he's the one on the call. I don't think he is, right? But I just think it's interesting that you go from, well, you know what? Get the Coast Guard just in case. You'd rather be safe than sorry. You'd always rather be safe than sorry. To all of a sudden, we're sinking, but we don't need the Coast Guard. Because, I mean, wouldn't you rather just be safe than sorry? Now, of course, you could factor in maybe these kids don't want to get in trouble by their parents. Maybe calling the Coast Guard, their parents would take away their boat. I really don't know. There could be other factors, but and again, they're, I guess, 18, 19, who knows how old. I just thought it was weird. Yeah. All right. Do you have your current GPS coordinates? Let me go look. If not, I can send you a text message. Oh, are you ready? Yes, sir, I'm available. North 70 degrees by 4672. All right, 4672, all right. And you're breaking up a little bit. Can you just repeat it one more time to make sure I have it correct? Sorry? Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, what? So you're breaking up. If you need assistance, do you have a VHF radio? No, we do not have VHF. All right, well, let's try to get you going because you don't have good self-reception. Can you verify your coordinates one more time? My coordinates are 30 degrees by 14684 north and then west by 88 degrees by 4679. All right, it looks like you're on Horn Island, correct? Are you on the island? Yes. All right, is the boat sinking or you have it aground?
Right, looks like you're on Horn Island, correct? Are you
Yes,
on
we are
Horn
at Horn
Island?
Island. Yes.
All right, is the boat sinking or you have it aground?
We are sinking, yes.
Is it aground is the question?
No, we're not aground. We are in
Okay.
17 foot of water. We're in 31 foot of water.
So I'm imagining that means like near the shore, on the ground, or like it's hitting the ground. I don't know. All right, I have to ask, and what do you want to do? Do you want to have it towed back? I want to get this boat unsank and towed back, yes. All right, where would you like it towed to, sir? You can tow it to Ocean Springs Harbor or Fort Bayou Lawn. All right, how many adults and children on board? No, there's no children. Is there anybody else on board? How many adults, sir? That was the question. Hello, can you hear me? Kind of jump in and pull the plug while you're going.
Thanks
So
for
now
following.
it sounds like
Appreciate
he's
that.
yelling at somebody else on the boat to pull the plug of the boat or something. Hello, sir? Hello? Yeah, I just need to answer a few questions so I can get you over to the captain. How many adults on board? There's 0 adults on board.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yep, I just need you to answer these questions so I can get you over to the captain.
Okay.
How many
what's
adults
going
on board?
There's 0 adults on board.
What?
Yeah, so it does seem like most of them are over the age of 18. Again, I don't know exactly who's on this boat right now. It has not been publicly confirmed exactly who and their ages, but I don't know if they just don't categorize themselves as adults, but they also don't categorize themselves as kids. So I don't really know what's going on. Okay, it just doesn't make any sense. I also have a sneaking suspicion that the person on the call sounds slightly intoxicated, but that's just an opinion that I have.
Okay.
Now,
I
there's
guess
nobody on board the boat? No, nobody here is over the age of 21.
Hello, welcome.
There's nobody on board the boat?
No. Nobody here is over the age of 21.
Oh.
So like that's also
interesting.
yeah, that is really weird to
But
me because I've
18 is an
never
adult, though.
yeah.
21.
Yes,
Some people
21
think
for them
it's
is
really
adult.
weird and evasive. Other people think that this is just a bunch of bozo kids who are trying to get away with underage drinking and driving a boat. But like that also doesn't like
Then
none of
what-
that makes sense.
Yeah, if you want to get away, you wouldn't even mention the age.
Yeah.
Then you would just say, okay, there's 7 people on boat. Why? Anyways.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So
Let's
that's
say
not
I'm
the
not the
question.
brightest.
Is there a person? Now, this is the part where it's weird. Like I don't know if Vicky was maybe getting frustrated with the phone call or
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base
Oh,
44.
thanks for the phone.
A
Appreciate
complete
that.
AI
it's just very odd. And of course, in this situation, everyone has been nitpicking this sentence because it's weird. She says, is there a person, a living individual on the boat?
Sir,
What?
that was not the question. Is there a person? Is there a person, a living individual on the boat?
Because I guess she's trying to get to the answer of how many individuals are on the boat, but it's also kind of weird. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
conversation is like when you read a really bad book with bizarre dialogue where they're not even having,
Okay,
like I
there we
just
go.
don't
We
know how
got
to
that done.
pinpoint. Usually I can pinpoint, oh, I think this person was trying to say this or they're getting frustrated. But this one I'm like,
Like
all
this.
of
There
these
we go.
answers are so weird. Like, what do you mean no one's over 21? And then she's like, is there anyone alive on the boat? Which is also weird. If I were Vicky, I would just say, how many people? How many persons? 1, 2, 3, like count. You know, instead of, is there people that are alive, living persons on the boat? Is kind of a weird question to ask as well. And again, weird question does not mean anything other than I just thought it was a weird question. He says, hello? Is there a living person, someone breathing on the boat? Is there anybody on the boat? Yes, there's lots of people breathing on the boat.
Is there a living person?
How many
Someone
people?
breathing on the boat? Is there anybody on the boat?
Yes, there's lots of people breathing on the boat.
Which is such a weird
Yeah.
response because again, if I heard that, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Everyone's breathing. What is this? What is this question, right?
Yes, there's 7 people on the boat.
Yeah.
Like, there. Okay.
Yeah, this
Weird.
whole back and forth, I've listened to it so many times trying to pinpoint, maybe this person said this because of this, but it's just weird. The
It is
dispatch
weird.
says, all right, how many people, sir? Like 7. All right, thank you. Does everyone have life jackets? I will say, just another disclaimer. Maybe the self-service is really that bad. So that maybe we're just hearing a very clear version of it, but in real time, they couldn't hear any of it. Anyway, he verifies it's a Triton, a 22-foot Triton that is in offshore sea flight hole that is sinking, taking on water. And she says, okay, I'm going to transfer you to the captain right now. So it does seem instant because she keeps them on hold.
Yeah.
So then she calls captain and the captain is like, this is Captain Seth. And okay, this is another thing that I also picked up, which was really weird. I actually
Okay,
haven't
we got
seen this
this,
in
yeah.
most cases outside of East Asia. So like in the United States, when you call your captain or you call your boss, yeah, you're probably not going to talk to them like, hey, this is what fucking happened. Like, you're probably not going to have that tone. You're going to have a professional tone, but she almost sounds like weirdly apologetic. I just thought it was weird. Okay, she's like, this is Vicky from International. How you doing today? Doing good. How are you? Good, good. I apologize ahead of time. I really do. Which I think it's weird to apologize. That's his job. Anyway, you're going to have a fee for service come up under. Okay, it sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island. He's letting me know that his father's a member, but he can't give me any information. And he's saying the boat is sinking and he's on Horn Island. It's just unfortunate. He's just a kid. There's a lot going on. So he said there's a lot of people on board. He says he thinks about 7. I'm guessing they're all under 18. And I'm not trying to be rude. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
Hi, Captain Seth. This is Vicky from International. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. I apologize ahead of time. I really do. You're going to have a fee for service come up under, it sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island. And he's on Horn Island. It's just unfortunate. He's just a kid. There's a lot going on. So
Right.
he said there's about a lot of people on board. He says he thinks about 7. I'm guessing they're all under 18.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be rude. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
I don't know how that's rude. So
Yeah. Why is she apologizing for doing her job.
The only context I was trying to pick up on is it seems like it was swamped because it was 4th of July and maybe the captain is getting agitated. And maybe the captain is getting agitated by a bunch of drunk people on boats, like causing a stir.
Okay, okay.
So I don't know, but it just, that's not her fault either. But the whole dynamic was just kind of weird. Do you know what kind of boat it is? Now, the captain, I will say, doesn't sound mean, like, or anything. And Vicky doesn't sound weird either. It's just like, I thought the tone was interesting. Do you know what kind of boat it is? He said a Triton 24-footer, but that's all he can give me. Okay, all right, yeah. I actually just got off the phone with his grandpa, who I'm guessing is the owner of the boat. Yeah, he said, I mean, literally, I just hung up with him. He said that they don't need any help right now, but if something changes, he'll call back.
I just actually got off the phone with his grandpa, who I'm guessing is the owner of
Thanks
the
for your
boat.
follow. Appreciate that.
He said,
Okay.
I just hung up with him. He said that they don't need any help right now, but if something changes, he'll call me back.
So
That is crazy.
So I'm guessing that they may have figured it out because that's what he said. So they're in a panic and their boat won't crank. Yeah, they're in a panic. He's saying the village's just not keeping up. I asked, for Coast Guard. He said no, but he's just really upset on the back end. And I get it. It's a kid. He just doesn't understand. Okay, do you still have him on the line? Yeah, I still have him on the line. And again, he couldn't give me anything regarding his grandfather's membership, so it's just an under fee for service. Okay, all right, yeah, I just talked to, if you want to, I mean, we're so tied up right now, we can't really do any non-member jobs right now. Is he a member? Did you find out if he was a member or not? Yeah, I'm not sure if it's his boat or what. I'm not sure what's going on with it. But yeah, transfer the kid over, I'll talk to him, and then I'll call his grandpa back as well. All right, and did you want me to look up his membership number or anything like that? I know you guys are, swamped. You can try his cell phone number. So he's giving grandpa's number, it seems.
Yeah.
And he's like, did you get anything? And she's like, okay, yeah, hold on. Yes, he's an active member. And what kind of boat do they have on there? So he's trying to match the number with the boat because I guess, if you're a member, but it's not your boat, whatever. She's like, yeah, he's one of the members, 22-foot Triton. All right, I'll just disregard this one. I'm going to send you over an accurate one under this one. And he's one of your members. You'll get in a couple of minutes, okay? So she's probably sending some sort of member file. Okay, perfect. All right, and yeah, just transfer this kid over whenever you get the chance. All right, transferring him now. Thank you again, Captain. And she goes back over to talk to the kids, but it seems like they're not responding. So she's just like, okay, well, they're not responding. She's like, hello, are you there? Hello. And then she says, I will be disconnecting due to lack of response.
Hello? Hello? Are you there? I apologize. I will be disconnecting due to lack of response.
Is there noises on the phone or is it silent?
It doesn't sound like it's an active line. The first layer of suspicion that a lot of netizens feel with this phone call is the layer that we discussed of the actual conversation that's happening between dispatch and the teenagers and the whole grandpa element. So again, people think it's weird that they don't want Coast Guard to come. People think it's weird that the grandpa is on the phone with the captain. Who's the grandpa to the captain? Do they know each other? People just think this whole situation is a little bit bizarre. They need towing. The boat is sinking. They need it unsank and towed, but then all of a sudden they don't need a tow, but we don't know what's changed. So that's the first layer of suspicion. Now, what really sends this call into orbit online is this enhanced audio version that began doing its rounds. These clips were processed and re-released by Janetta Brantley. She is an audio engineer in the entertainment industry who used isolation techniques. She has stated that she did not use any AI. Now, Janetta first posted a clip from the beginning of the call to her social media, and that's where it starts getting viral. One thing that I will note is that even though she does request viewers to listen for themselves, the initial post got a lot of flack from other individuals because she added a transcript of what she believes she heard from the audio alongside the enhanced audio. So some people didn't like that because, there are things like conditioning of your mind. It's called top-down listening effect or transcript priming. Your brain tries to match the unclear audio to the transcript that you are given. Now, normally, I don't know if I would agree with this because I would like to think that we're smarter than that. But then after just watching so many body cam videos and trying to match transcripts to a bunch of court live stream footage, I will say it is hard. But I don't know if that's what's happening in this case. But because of that, a lot of people were upset, saying Janetta, you should have just released the audio enhanced version instead of telling everyone what you heard, because now people can only hear what you heard. But again, if you haven't listened independently, I highly recommend you doing so now.
you ever seen that show?
Terrifying.
With an orange unicorn? If you ever see it,
I don't like this.
you turn it off.
I don't like that. I saw something for a trailer called Buddy, and it shows like you know, like those kid shows where it's like a puppet, not a puppet, like Barney or something. It just looks really freaky. It's freaking me out.
And dislikes, he continued to upload episodes of him interviewing people who experience their lowest moments. What's funny is
We're about to go over the transcript that Janetta believes she heard in the enhanced audio, and this is background. So this is someone behind the caller.
That's crazy.
On the boat, but not the caller himself saying this, or allegedly saying this. This is what people think that they hear from the audio. Is someone in the background of the boat saying something along the lines of, "Can we cover it up? Yeah, I thought all about that. Oh, you killed him. He's already dead. Is he dead? Yeah. Nolan. Oh my God, Nolan, wake up. Wyatt, wake up. Get the fuck up. Damn it, Bart. Nono's really dead now."
Shut the fuck up!
A lot of netizens who are already suspicious of the other teens present with Nolan pretty much believe that this is the smoking gun in this case. They're calling for arrests of the teens, their parents, perhaps even, you know, the Emmy or investigators that are involved in this case. But there are lots of netizens who are also very suspicious of the actual contents of the call that have been cited. A lot of other people are saying, well, it is weird, but we cannot confirm. So, you know, you have about like 3 groups of people, I would say. I will say a large group of people who believe and can hear this. And I will say, like, when I'm listening to it and I'm reading the transcript, I hear it. It's tricky because I'm like, okay, now I need to factor in top-down priming or whatever. But then, like, once I hear it, I can't unhear it. And then I try to listen to it over and over again. And then I'm like, okay, well, now I'm trying to unhear it. And it gets really weird. And I would say it's just difficult. I think the first time listening to it without any transcript is probably the best. Now, there's a large group of people who hear it and they want the right people to be arrested, identified, and for justice to be served, which a lot of people agree with. If that is actually what's happening in the phone call, yeah, for sure, that needs to happen. Then you have a group in the middle where it's like, I heard it, but I don't know if I heard right. I don't know if it's my ear playing tricks on me. Like, I don't know what's going on. I think that there should be further heavy investigations, but I don't know if that's exactly what I heard. I don't know who's saying it. It could be something else. Like, we don't know. And then you have another group of people who are saying you could basically hear someone plotting JFK's assassination if you really wanted to, because that's how little you can hear. So you've got this very wide range of speculations that are sweeping the internet. And some people have just made it a moment to attack Janetta, which I think is very bizarre. Some people accuse Janetta of lying, of releasing fake audio. I don't see why Janetta would lie, especially if there are any legal consequences and especially if her career is going to be at stake. I just don't know why she would knowingly lie. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But there are people just using it as a moment to be racist because Janetta is a Black woman. And again, you don't have to go through Janetta's version if you're, you know, like, oh, well, maybe she has skin in the game, right? Like, you can just go through the version that WLOX posted on their YouTube channel and just listen with one earbud in and decipher for yourself. But people have accused her of trying to start some sort of race war. I mean, that's just been like an accusation that's been very loosely thrown out to pretty much everyone that's been outspoken about this case, when in reality, it just seems like a lot of people want answers. So that's been a whole thing. So after that, Janetta posted a longer cut without a transcript alongside the post. But even that, I think, because how she audio enhanced it. Lots of people are coming after her. So some people are saying like she's blowing the case wide open and investigators are going to come after her. Other people are saying like, how do we know your process is real and accurate? Now we're just muddying the waters even more. Some netizens believe that the audio itself is damning. They say that you can hear someone say Nolan's freaking dead. Some netizens say that they even hear splashing as if something large is hitting the water. Some netizens say that they can hear the caller say that there's 7 people on the boat and someone appears or sounds like they're counting and it sounds like they're going up to 8, but then it's 7 and, that they accidentally counted Nolan. Netizens claim that the caller's denial of the Coast Guard is very suspicious and suggests that the call was simply a means to record an alibi, though netizens say the background noise exposed them for what they were really doing, trying to figure out how to throw Nolan's body overboard. Again, a lot of this is, there are even netizens who say that the boat is sinking and there's too much weight on the boat, so they threw Nolan overboard. There's just a lot of rumors, a lot of speculations, and as of right now, it is conjecture based on what people hear when they listen to the audio clip. These are theories, they're unconfirmed, but a significant amount of netizens have been talking about these theories. Some netizens are even suspicious, saying that they believe they heard a female voice in the background and they sounded older. Some people are saying it sounds like someone is video calling their mom then. Others are saying it could be this person or that person. Others want the dispatcher of this call to be interviewed by authorities, saying she is a witness. Now, I don't know exactly what they mean by the term witness. I do think that she should probably be interviewed. Yeah, I think she is an important element. I don't know if she knew anything beyond just a dispatch call. Some people were accusing her of knowing because she heard these things and was helping to cover it up. There's just a lot of huge accusations being thrown out online. Others want actual forensic audio analysts to review the enhanced and original audio. And some netizens are saying, I just can't make out anything. And that people just want to hear what they want to hear. I think the only undeniable part of this audio being released and the social media conversation around it is I do think that if the roles were reversed and if this was a young white man who drowned and not a young black man on a boat full of young black boys, I don't think there would be as much conversation online of you're just hearing what you want to hear. I think there would be probably a more streamlined online discourse of we need justice rather than like this whole fight about it almost on the internet. That's really the only undeniable thing that has come out of this audio footage as of right now. Now we're going to go back to the other elements of the case that was filmed a few days ago, and at the very end of this audio podcast there's going to be more updates.
Okay, so they drove it back to the other side and they're hanging out over there now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I guess other friends make their way from Horn Island back to where they're hanging out, and everyone's like, wait, where's Nolan? They're like, wait, I thought Nolan was, I guess it seems like the conversation is more so, well, I guess I thought Nolan was coming with you. I thought Nolan was coming with you, right? And so they're freaking out, and Warren says, well, if nobody's seen Nolan and he's not, like, I'm going to call Christine, his mom, and I'm going to call the Coast Guard. So he calls Christine, and he's the friend that seemingly informs Christine that Nolan is missing.
Warren?
Yeah, and he also calls the Coast Guard, which is interesting that he calls the Coast Guard. So Officer Tatum even questions that, and he's like, well, if you knew that he was with a girl, why did you call the Coast Guard? Because what if he's with the girl?
I'm assuming he called the girl, no?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like Katie was texting them after the fact.
Oh, so he didn't contact Katie?
No, because they don't really know Katie.
Oh.
So I think they found Katie like through friends of friends of friends or something. That seems like what it's being insinuated. And again, I have no answers for anything, okay? So Officer Tatum is like, well, why did you call the Coast Guard? And he's like, because I've lost people I know out at Horn Island from drowning. And he's like, I'd rather be the guy that does too much and calls the Coast Guard than not. And it is interesting. So some people think that the way that he talks about boats and fishing, he seems like very well versed in boating. He also emphasizes a lot of, I guess, boating safety quite frequently. So some people believe that's the right call. Like if you're in that life where you're fishing all the time, on a boat all the time, on the water all the time, you call the Coast Guard. You're not taking chances. Other people are saying, it's weird that you called the Coast Guard right away. In this interview, I mean, it's a series of interviews, again, posted on the YouTuber Officer Tatum's YouTube account, but people have a lot of mixed feelings about it. And I think that this interview didn't change anyone's feelings. I think people went in believing one thing, and this interview just reinforced their thought. So some people went in believing that these three original boat friends are